I believe in a lot of organizations right now, if this is the Earth, HR departments are sitting on Mars.
Hello Max, and welcome back for our 6th interview in our series. So we've already covered in the first 5 sessions the 5 pillars of the service-sized leadership model, but what are the other key challenges you see within organizations today?
Thanks, Jack. It's great to be back again. We've been talking about a lot of challenges all over the place along these 5 pillars of leadership we've been talking about. And let's face it, it's a volatile kind of market all over the globe. It's a lot of insecurity for a lot of employees. And we know what? We know that this disengagement level is only 13% of employees around the world that are actively engaged. We know that by 2020, we're going to have half of the global workforce that are going to be millennials, and they want something different. And we also know that, because of the disengagement, we got a lot of lack of productivity. There's a lot of turnover, absenteeism, not to talk about the personal human cost of people being burned out and whatever. In addition to that, and at the whole, there are billions of dollars being left on the table because organizations aren't effective enough in terms of engagement and all that. So I think there are a few disconnects out there, and let's forget about the global economy and just look at single organizations. And there are a few things they can do there that could help. So where would you start in terms of which area of an organization you'd like to start? Where would you start, Jack?
I don't know necessarily. I'd say we've talked a lot about communication as well. I think there needs to be more communication from maybe HR into other areas, and so people just know that everyone's there essentially. But so throwing it back to you, what parts of organizations would you say need to start tackling these issues in order to see greater success within companies and organizations?
Absolutely. I really would like to focus, especially today, really focus on the role that HR plays and HR departments do. And I think to start with, CEOs and leaders should sit down with their HR leaders, grab a hot cup of coffee or tea and whatever it is, and just sit down and discuss and see, are we well aligned, and what is it we're doing that is maybe not working? If you keep doing the same thing as you've always done, we see the disengagement numbers, they're not really changing dramatically from year to year. There are some exceptions, of course, but they're not really improving. So you can't keep doing the same thing. Now, let's imagine this as an organizational chart, if I may. Let's imagine planet Earth as an organization, and from the very core, and then going to each layer of Earth to the very crust and then the surface. And imagine that being an organization. Hopefully the leadership is sitting in the very core and shining, inspiring everybody throughout. And let's start putting on the surface, let's start putting archives north to south pole to preserve everything in the best possible way. Maybe put, around North America, maybe sales and marketing. Let's put finance in Europe. Let's put supply chain maybe around Asia, somewhere there, sourcing in Africa, and then you could put in the Middle East and in Australia and down under, maybe to do some R&D, etc. And just going all the way down to the core of the Earth. Yeah. Where would you imagine that the HR department would be sitting right now today in the way you see it out there and you hear about it?
After this beautiful picture you just painted me, Max, I'm imagining HR of some sort of satellite circling around the Earth. But
to be honest with you, I've been looking at this and talking to a lot of leaders and people in HR, employees, etc. And I think over the years, I believe in a lot of organizations right now, if this is the Earth, HR departments are sitting on Mars.
Oh, really?
Just a different planet. Now, I'm not trying to point a finger and say that, this is totally wrong and HR departments, we could just get rid of them or whatever. There are a lot of amazing talent and great people doing a lot of great service right here in HR, in a lot of businesses and organizations. However, there is this little disconnect. We got a lot of software, we got a lot of tools, we got big data, and there's a lot of analysis being done all the time. But then again, there's this feeling of, do they really feel what the employees feel? Is there this emotional, intelligent connection and an empathetic connection to the employees, to leadership, and are they serving each other? Is the organization empowering HR to serve and help with the training, talent development, and the recruitment the right way? Or is there a disconnect? And I feel more and more that we need to really try whatever we can to bring the HR department back to earth and really try to put them in the very core together with leadership, and then through every single layer of the planet to cover the entire earth as an organization. And I think we need to do that. Now, I often challenge leaders when I see them and ask them, what do you think about this? Would you agree with this? And to a certain degree, a lot of them do agree, and a lot of HR people obviously feel a little bit emotional about this and maybe say, well, not on Mars. At least we might be on the surface. And some of them are really extremely connected. However, I usually also challenge leaders to say, hey, what if I would tell you that you can make a massive saving tomorrow and go and cut down your HR department as size by 80%. And I would tell you that nothing would happen a week, a quarter, a year from now within your business. It wouldn't really impact. And a lot of them would say, oh, well, you could be right. And then I asked a European leader of a very large organization last year the same exact question. Imagine you would just, drop 80% of your HR. What would happen? Probably nothing. He just looked at me and said, it's funny you're saying that. We just did that. And I wasn't expecting to hear that at all. I didn't know they were doing that. And it was a bit shocking. I think there is a lot of value to be created if we engage HR and allow them to feel the pain of the customer, to feel the pain of the employees, to feel the joy when they earn a new account, a new client, and just know what's going on. And I'm not sure we are there today, despite all the tools and everything we got.
So just finally, to recap, what can HR departments and leaders do together to bring them from Mars and bring them into the core alongside each other?
I think, let's talk about the 3 typical things that you could do. The first thing would be, honestly, if you're either an HR leader or if you're a CEO with that kind of executive power and responsibilities, start asking 3 questions, first of all. How am I personally connected to my HR department? Am I utilizing all the services they're offering me? Now, we need to realize that HR is 2 different parts, right? There's the admin part, there's the strategic part in terms of talent development, recruitment, and all that. Am I, as a leader, connected to HR in the right way? Are my people, as a second question, are my people connected and feel that they're being served in the right way and supported by HR, and they feel that they can go and talk to HR whenever necessary, and that HR is both backing me and my employees? And then third of all, talk to HR. Ask the same question, pose the same question, and if you are an HR leader, the other way around. Am I connected to HR and am I connected to the business in the right way? Do we have enough people who have experience from the business who are within HR? Because HR generally has a lot of very experienced people who really are from HR. And we need to change that dynamic a little bit. So that would be the first thing, ask the right kind of questions. Number 2 would be get consensus. So in this area, you would really have to kind of map it and analyze the situation. And I think sometimes that the best way, because you're yourself as a leader in the frame, maybe it's a good idea to get an external support, some kind of external analysis in terms of how are we, where does, is our HR on Mars? Are they closer? Are they on just a satellite around the Earth? Or are they on the surface? Or are we actually very well aligned? Maybe that's the case. Good for you, right? If that's the case, sure, but get that consensus with everybody, because there's always a lot of emotions involved. So that's number 2. And then it's number 3, start executing. Start transforming, start executing, and be like a true maverick leader, because if you keep doing it the same way you've been doing, it's not gonna change, right? So it's gonna be a lot of emotions involved. It's gonna be a dramatic change, really, if you find that you have that disconnect. But if you announce it right, I bet you anything, if your people start seeing that change coming, and really start feeling it, you're gonna have a lot of benefit from there. So really, you gotta be a maverick leader. Number 1, 1, ask the right questions. 2, get this consensus. And 3, start transforming. And as Emerson used to say, do not go where the path may lead, go instead where there is no path, and leave a trail. So if you have the guts to do that as a leader, that's great. And I'd love to hear from any leaders who are starting to do that journey. I'd love to hear about that journey.
Max, thank you very much.
Always a pleasure.
And thank you for watching. And don't forget to see all of Max's videos as well as much more. Head over to dukascopy.tv.